I thought she loved me. I gave her everything. My savings, my trust, my future. And when I had nothing left to give, she disappeared. This is how I became the victim of a love scam disguised as marriage. And I never saw it coming. I wasn't planning to talk about this again. But then I opened my inbox this morning and found a message from a longtime viewer, someone who's been watching this channel quietly for over a year. He said he's 63, retired, and living alone in a studio apartment in Bangkok. And last night, after watching one of our stories, something in him cracked. He told me he hadn't spoken about what happened to him, not even to his family. But hearing someone else say it out loud made him feel less ashamed. Like he could finally breathe again. That stopped me in my tracks. I just sat there, rereading his words. First with disbelief, then with a kind of heaviness I haven't felt in a while. Because I know that feeling. That cold, sinking realization that you were never seen as a partner, only as a paycheck. That the person you loved was playing a role, and you were the fool sitting front row. So I want to say this before we begin. If you're watching this and any part of it feels familiar, you're not alone. You're not stupid. And you're not weak for wanting love. If our stories resonate with you, please like, comment, and subscribe. And tell us where in the world are you watching from tonight. To all of you who keep showing up for these stories, thank you. Truly. The people who return, who send messages, who share their own heartbreaks, you're the reason this channel exists. And you're the reason I found the courage to share this one. Let me take you back to where it all started. I'm sitting in my apartment right now, staring at an empty jewelry box on the table. It's been 3 weeks since she left. 3 weeks since I realized everything was a lie. But I need to go back. Back to the beginning. Back to the day I thought my life was finally turning around. It was 3 months ago when I walked into that boutique hotel in Bangkok. I'd been in Thailand for 2 weeks, just wandering around, trying to figure out what retirement actually meant. 8 years divorced. 62 years old. My daughter Jessica living her own life in Seattle. I was lonely. God, I was so lonely. And then I saw her. Apple was working the front desk that evening. She looked up when I walked in and smiled. Not the fake customer service smile I'd gotten used to. Something different. Something warm. "Good evening," she said. "You stay with us?" I nodded. I was just coming back from dinner. Alone. Like every other night. "Yes. Room 304. She tilted her head slightly. "You eat alone? Always alone?" The question caught me off guard. "Yeah," I said. "Just me." She frowned a little. "That sad, beautiful city. Should not be alone." I laughed, but it came out hollow. "Well, that's the situation." She looked at me for a long moment, then smiled again. "I finish work in 1 hour. Maybe I show you good place for coffee?" Real Bangkok coffee. Not tourist place. I hesitated. I'd read all the warnings. The stories, but standing there, looking at her genuine smile, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. "Sure," I said. "I'd like that." That coffee turned into 3 hours of talking. She told me about growing up in Izon, about moving to Bangkok when she was 19, about her 9-year-old son who lived with her mother up country. "His father leave us," she said quietly. "Thai man, he no good, just leave when baby come." I told her about my divorce, about my career as an insurance adjuster, about feeling invisible for the last 8 years. "You not invisible," she said, reaching across the table to touch my hand. "I see you." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her so badly. When I walked back to my hotel that night, I felt alive for the first time in years. I didn't sleep much. I kept replaying the conversation in my head, the way she'd laughed at my jokes, the way she'd listened when I talked about my daughter, the way she'd looked at me when she said she could see me. The next morning, I went down to the lobby early, hoping to see her. She was there, checking in a guest. When she saw me, her face lit up. "You come to say goodbye?" she asked. "I thought maybe we could have breakfast," I said. She smiled. "I have break in 30 minutes. You wait?" I waited. And that breakfast turned into another long conversation, and then another the next day, and the day after that. By the end of that week, I'd extended my hotel stay. By the end of the second week, I was thinking about canceling my flight home entirely. "You different from other Farang," she told me one evening as we walked along the river. You listen, you kind man. I squeezed her hand. You make me feel like myself again. She leaned against me. Maybe you stay? Maybe you give Thailand chance? I looked out at the lights reflecting on the water, felt the warmth of her body next to mine, and thought maybe I could. Maybe this was what I'd been looking for all along. I didn't know then that I was already caught. That every word, every touch, every smile was part of something I couldn't see yet. I didn't know that the woman who made me feel alive again was the same woman who would destroy me. I canceled my flight 3 days later. I told Jessica I was extending my trip, that I'd found some peace in Bangkok and wanted to explore more. I didn't tell her about Apple. Not yet. I knew what she'd say. Apple started taking me places tourists never went. Morning markets where old women sold fruit I'd never seen before. Temples tucked away in neighborhoods where nobody spoke English. Street food stalls where she'd order for both of us, laughing at my reaction to the spice. You have to trust me, she'd say. I show you real Thailand. And I did trust her. Completely. We spent every evening together. She'd finish her shift at the hotel and meet me, still in her uniform, smelling like the jasmine perfume she always wore. We'd walk for hours, talking about everything and nothing. One night, about 3 weeks after we met, she got quiet. We were sitting on a bench near Lumpini Park. What's wrong? I asked. She shook her head. Nothing. I just thinking. About what? She looked at me, and I saw tears in her eyes. My son, he need new uniform for school. And books. But I don't have money right now. I send everything to my mother already. I felt something twist in my chest. How much do you need? She pulled away slightly. No, Rob. I don't tell you for money. I just worried. I bad mother. Cannot even buy uniform. How much? I asked again. Maybe 3,000 baht? But no, I cannot ask you. We just friends. We're more than friends, I said. And I meant it. Let me help. Please. She cried then, really cried. And let me hold her. You too good. Too kind. I don't deserve. I gave her 4,000 baht the next day. She tried to refuse it 3 times before accepting. She cried again when I pressed the money into her hand. I pay you back, she said. No, I told her. It's a gift. For your son. That night, she stayed at my hotel for the first time. I rented a small apartment the following week. It made more sense than the hotel. Apple helped me find it, negotiated with the landlord in Thai, made sure I wasn't getting ripped off. I take care of you, she said. And she did. She filled the apartment with small touches, flowers from the market, a Buddha statue for good luck, curtains she picked out herself. It started to feel like home. Like our home. My daughter called on a Tuesday evening. I was cooking dinner, badly, while Apple laughed at my attempts. Dad, Jessica said when I answered. It's been over a month. When are you coming home? I'm not sure yet, I said. I'm really enjoying it here. Are you okay? You sound different. I'm good, I told her. Really good, actually. There was a pause. Have you met someone? I glanced at Apple, who was setting the table. Yeah, I said. I have. Another pause, longer this time. Dad, just be careful, okay? You've only known her a few weeks. I felt myself getting defensive. I'm 62 years old, Jessica. I think I can judge people. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying Thailand has a reputation, and men your age sometimes. Sometimes what? Get lucky enough to find someone who actually cares about them. The words came out harsher than I intended. Jessica went quiet. I just want you to be safe, she said finally. I'm fine, I told her. Better than fine. We ended the call shortly after. When I hung up, Apple looked at me with concern. She worry about you? She doesn't understand, I said. Apple came over and wrapped her arms around me. Family always worry. It okay. When she meet me, she understand. I held her tight. She didn't understand. No one did. Apple wasn't like that. She wasn't some bar girl or scammer. She had a real job. A son. A life. She cared about me. I could feel it every time she looked at me, every time she laughed at my jokes, every time she fell asleep in my arms. Later that week, she asked me to meet her mother. She want to meet Farang who make me smile again, Apple said. She live far. In Izon. Maybe we go next month? Of course, I said. I'd love to meet her. Apple kissed me. You make me so happy, Rob. I never think I meet man like you. I kissed her back. I'm the lucky one. And I believed it. I really did. I didn't see the pattern forming. The small requests that would grow larger. The way she was testing me, seeing how far I'd go, how much I'd give. I thought I was building a future. I didn't realize I was buying one that would never belong to me. Things started to shift in small ways I told myself didn't matter. Apple began canceling plans. I'm sorry, I have to work late, she'd text. Or, my friend have emergency, I help her. When she came over, her phone was always face down on the table. If it buzzed, she'd flip it over to check, then put it back down without explaining. Who's texting you? I asked once. She looked at me sharply. Why you ask? You don't trust me? No, I just wondered. It's my friend. About work. Why you worry? I backed off. I didn't want to be that guy, the jealous boyfriend who questioned everything. But something felt off. I met Tom Hendricks at a bar in Sukhumvit one afternoon. He was Australian, mid-50s, been living in Bangkok for 7 years. We'd met through an expat Facebook group. So you're with a local girl? He asked over his second beer. Yeah, I said. Her name's Apple. Tom nodded slowly. How long? About 2 months now. And how much have you given her? The question hit me wrong. Excuse me? Money, mate, how much? I helped her with some things for her son. That's what you do when you care about someone. Tom leaned back. Look, I'm not judging, but I've been here long enough to see this play out. Starts with the kid's school fees. Then it's the sick mother. Then it's the brother who needs bail money or the uncle who needs hospital bills paid. It's not like that, I said. She has a real job. She's not asking me for anything. Not yet, Tom said. But she will, and when she does, you'll pay. Because by then you'll be in too deep to see clearly. I finished my beer and stood up. You don't know her. You don't know us. I know the pattern, Tom said. Just keep your eyes open, yeah? I left the bar angry. Angry at Tom for stereotyping. Angry at myself for even listening. That evening, Apple asked me about my day. It was fine, I said. Met a friend for drinks. That nice. You need friends here. I didn't tell her what Tom had said. 2 days later, Apple came to me crying. We were at my apartment, watching TV. She'd been quiet all evening. What's wrong? I asked. It's my son, she said through tears. School say he need pay fee for next term, 15,000 baht, and I don't have. I already give my mother all my salary for food and rent. How much is that in dollars? Maybe 450. I'm so sorry, Rob. I hate to worry you. I figure out something. No, I said. Let me help. No, I cannot. Is too much. Is my problem. You're my girlfriend. Your problems are my problems. Let me do this. She cried harder. You too good for me. I don't deserve you. I held her while she cried, feeling like a hero, feeling needed. The next day, I transferred 15,000 baht to her account. She showed me the receipt from the school 2 days later. See, I use for his education. Not for myself. I never thought you would, I said. And I hadn't. But after she left that evening, I found myself thinking about what Tom had said. About the pattern. I shook it off. This was different. Apple was different. We were different. But I started noticing other things. The way she changed the subject when I asked about her day. The way she always had a reason why I couldn't come to her apartment. It's so small, she'd say. I'm embarrassed. Your place is nicer. The way she'd stop talking about introducing me to her friends. They all work different time, she explained. Hard to organize. I told myself I was being paranoid. That Tom had gotten in my head. That I was sabotaging something good because I couldn't believe someone actually wanted me. One night, I tried to talk to her about it. Do you ever feel like we're moving too fast? I asked. Her face closed off immediately. You want to break up? No, that's not what I meant. I just wondered if we should slow down, figure things out. Figure what out? You think I'm with you for wrong reason? I didn't say that. You think like that man at bar. You think I'm bad woman, use you. Apple, no. She stood up. I give you my heart, Rob. I let you in, and you think I'm scammer. Like everyone else think about Thai woman. I don't think that. Then why you say we move too fast? Why you question me? I reached for her hand. I'm sorry. I'm just scared of getting hurt again. She softened slightly. I never hurt you, I promise. But if you no trust me, maybe this no work. I trust you, I said quickly, too quickly. I'm sorry. She sat back down. Let me hold her. But something had shifted. I felt it, and instead of paying attention to that feeling, I pushed it down. I told myself I was wrong, that I was the problem, that if I just loved her enough, trusted her enough, everything would be fine. Tom texted me a few days later. Want to grab a beer? I didn't respond. I'd chosen my side, and I'd chosen Apple. I didn't know then that I'd chosen wrong, that every doubt I was suppressing was a warning I should have heeded, that the trap was closing, and I was helping it shut. It happened on a Sunday morning. We were having breakfast at my apartment. Apple was quiet, picking at her food. What's on your mind? I asked. She looked up at me, and her eyes were wet. I love you, Rob. My heart jumped. I love you too. No, I mean really love. Not just like real love. The kind that hurt when you're not around. The kind that make me think about future. I reached across the table and took her hand. I think about our future too. You do? She seemed surprised. Of course, every day. She bit her lip. In Thailand, when woman and man love each other, really love, they get married, make it real. Make it official. I felt something click into place. Are you saying you want to marry me? Only if you want. I know I'm not rich. I know I have son. I know I have nothing to give you except my heart. But if you want me, really want me, I want to be your wife. I stood up, came around the table, and knelt down beside her chair. I didn't have a ring, but I had her hand in mine. Yes, I said. Yes, I want to marry you. She cried. I cried. We held each other in that tiny kitchen, and I felt like I'd finally found what I'd been looking for my whole life. We should do Thai ceremony, she said, in my village, so my family can meet you, so my mother can see I marry good man. When? I asked. Next month? Is that too soon? It's perfect. We started planning that day. Apple explained that Thai weddings weren't like American ones. We paid dowry to my family. Show respect. Show you can take care of me. Maybe 100,000 baht. I did the math in my head. About $3,000. Okay, I said. And we need money for ceremony, for food, for monk. Maybe another 50,000? Whatever you need, I told her. Her face lit up. Really? You not mad? Why would I be mad? This is our wedding. She kissed me hard. You best man I ever meet. I promise I make you happy. Forever. I called Jessica that night. Dad, that's crazy, she said when I told her. You've known her for 2 months. When you know, I said. Dad, please. Please think about this. What if she's what, Jessica? What if she actually loves me? What if someone actually wants to spend their life with me? Is that so hard to believe? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? She sighed. I just want you to be sure. I want you to protect yourself. I am sure, I said, and I'd appreciate your support. The silence on the other end told me everything. I'll send you pictures, I said, and ended the call. Apple arranged everything. I wired the money to her account, 150,000 baht, about $4,500. She showed me receipts, photos of the preparations, messages from her family about how excited they were to meet me. 2 weeks later, we took an overnight bus to her village in Isan. I was nervous. I'd never been outside Bangkok except for a day trip to Ayutthaya. The countryside was beautiful in a stark way. Rice fields stretching to the horizon. Buffalo in the distance. People working under the brutal sun day. Her mother's house was small, wooden, raised on stilts. An older woman came out when we arrived. May, Apple said, embracing her. They spoke in Thai, rapid and emotional. Then, Apple turned to me. This my mother, and this my uncle, Somchai. A man in his 50s stepped forward and shook my hand. He studied me carefully. You take care of my niece? He asked in broken English. I will, I said. I promise. He nodded slowly but didn't smile. The ceremony was the next morning at a small temple. Monks chanted blessings. Apple and I sat side by side while holy water was poured over our hands. Her family surrounded us, maybe 20 people I'd never met. I didn't understand the words, but I understood the feeling. I was being accepted. I was becoming part of something. When the monk tied the sacred thread around our wrists, connecting us, I cried. Apple looked at me and smiled. Now we married, she whispered. Now we together forever. The celebration afterward was simple but joyful. Food, music, people laughing. Somchai pulled me aside at one point. You know she have many problem, he said. Life is hard here, mother is sick, house is old. You understand? I understand, I said. I'll take care of her. He studied me again, then nodded. Good. Family is important in Thailand. You family now. I felt proud. Honored. Like I'd passed some test. That night, lying in bed in a guest house in town, Apple curled against me. Thank you for today, she said. Thank you for giving me hope. I should be thanking you, I told her. You saved me, Rob. I never think I find man like you. I held her close. I never think I find woman like you. I believed I was saving her. I believed we were saving each other. I didn't know she was destroying me. I didn't notice her checking her phone during the ceremony. I didn't see the looks exchanged between her and Somchai. I didn't understand that everything I'd just witnessed was theater, that the love I felt was real. But hers never was. We'd been back in Bangkok for 2 weeks when Apple's mother got sick. She need go hospital, Apple told me, crying. Something wrong with her heart. Doctors say she need test, maybe surgery. How much? I asked. They say maybe 80,000 baht. But I don't have. I don't know what to do. I didn't hesitate. I logged into my bank account and arranged a transfer from my retirement savings. It's okay, I told her. We'll handle it. She cried in my arms. I pay you back. I promise. When I get money, I pay you back. You're my wife now. You don't need to pay me back. The surgery happened 3 days later. Apple went up country to be with her mother. She sent me photos from the hospital, her mother in bed, hooked up to machines. Doctors say operation success, she texted. But she need medicine now. Every month. I'm so sorry, Rob. I know you already give so much. The medicine was 10,000 baht a month. I set up an automatic transfer. Then her son got sick. He have infection. Need medicine. Doctor bill is 15,000 baht. I sent the money. Then the roof on her mother's house started leaking. When it rain, water come in. She cannot sleep. Everything get wet. To fix is 30,000 baht. I sent the money. By the end of the first month, I'd sent over 200,000 baht. Almost $6,000. I started to feel uneasy. Not because I didn't want to help, but because every time I turned around, there was another emergency, another crisis, another need. Can we talk about money? I asked one evening. Apple looked up from her phone. What you mean? I mean we should maybe make a budget, figure out what's necessary and what can wait. Her face changed, went cold. My mother's sick, my son's sick, house is broken. You think these things can wait? That's not what I'm saying. Then what you say? You want me to let my mother die? You want my son to be sick? Of course not. I just think we should plan better. She stood up. You say you love me. You say you take care of me. But now you say no when I need help? I'm not saying no. You say we should wait. That same as no. She grabbed her purse. Maybe I go. Apple, wait, no. You make me feel bad for having problem. You make me feel like burden, like I'm here for your money. I didn't say that. You think it. I see how you look at me now. Different. Like you no trust me. I reached for her. I do trust you. I'm sorry. I'm just stressed. She pulled away. I'm stressed too. But I don't make you feel bad about it. She left. I sat in the apartment alone, feeling like I'd done something terrible. Like I'd accused her of something she hadn't done. I texted her. I'm sorry. Come back, please. She didn't respond for 2 hours. When she finally did, it was short. I need time to think. I barely slept that night. In the morning, I texted again. I love you. Whatever you need, I'm here. She came back that afternoon, but something had changed. She was distant, cold. She stopped staying over as much. I have to work early, she'd say, or I'm tired, I sleep at my place tonight. When I asked why she seemed different, she sighed. You put too much pressure on me. I feel like I cannot ask for anything, like I have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. Yes, I do. Because every time I have a problem, you get upset. You make me feel guilty. I don't mean to, but you do. I found myself apologizing constantly. For asking questions. For seeming worried. For not giving more. For not being better. The emergencies didn't stop. Her uncle needed money for his truck repair. Her friend needed help with rent. Her son needed a new tablet for school. I sent it all. Because I was terrified of losing her. Because I couldn't stand the thought of being alone again. Because somewhere deep down, I believed that if I just loved her enough, if I just gave enough, she'd go back to being the woman I'd fallen in love with. But she never did. She got colder. More distant. More transactional. Affection became tied to money. She'd be warm after I sent a transfer. Cold when I hesitated. I knew what was happening. Part of me knew. But I couldn't admit it. Because admitting it meant admitting I'd been a fool. That everything I'd believed was a lie. So I kept paying, kept apologizing, kept trying to win back something I'd never really had in the first place. I decided to surprise her. It was a Tuesday. Apple had told me she was working a double shift and couldn't see me, but I missed her. We barely spent time together in the last 2 weeks. I stopped by a flower shop near my apartment and bought a bouquet of roses. Then I took a taxi to her apartment. I'd only been there once, briefly, when she'd needed to pick something up. She'd been nervous the whole time, rushing me in and out. It's too messy, she'd said, but today I wanted to show her I cared, that I was thinking about her. The building was old, 6 floors, no elevator. She'd told me she lived on the 4th floor. I climbed the stairs, holding the flowers, feeling nervous and excited at the same time. When I reached the 4th floor, I saw a motorcycle parked in the hallway. A man was standing near her door. He was young, maybe late 20s, wearing a motorcycle taxi vest. As I watched, Apple's door opened. She stepped out. She was laughing. The man said something in Thai and she laughed harder, pushing his shoulder playfully. Then he leaned in and kissed her on the cheek. She didn't pull away. I froze. The flowers felt heavy in my hand. Apple looked up and saw me. Her face went completely blank. The man followed her gaze and looked at me. He said something to her in Thai. She responded, her voice sharp. Then she walked toward me. Rob, what you doing here? I couldn't speak. I just stared at her, then at him. I asked you question, she said, her voice harder now. What you doing here? I wanted to surprise you. I managed. You said you were working. I am working. Later. I come home to change. Who is he? I asked. He my brother. Your brother? Yes. He bring me food from my mother. Why you come here without telling me? The man on the motorcycle said something else in Thai. Apple snapped back at him. He shrugged, got on his bike, and drove off down the hall. You just show up at my home? Apple said. You check on me? I wasn't checking on you. I missed you. You don't trust me. That why you come. He kissed you. On cheek. Family kiss on cheek. You don't understand Thai culture. But I'd seen the way he touched her. The way she'd laughed. The comfort between them. That wasn't a brother. Can I come in? I asked. No. Place is mess. I told you before. I don't care about mess. I care. I told you no. Why you don't listen? I felt something crack inside me. Why won't you let me in, Apple? Because I don't want you here. Because you show up without asking. Because you don't respect my space. She was getting angry now. Really angry. You want to control me like my ex. You want to check on me. You want to make sure I'm good girl. I'm done with this. I just wanted to bring you flowers. I don't want flower. I want trust. I want respect. But you cannot give me that. She turned and went back into her apartment. The door shut. I heard the lock click. I stood there in the hallway holding the roses, feeling like an idiot. I walked back down the stairs in a daze, got in a taxi, went back to my apartment. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing the man, the way he'd touched her, the way she'd smiled at him. I picked up my phone. I'd never looked at Apple's social media before. She'd told me she didn't use it much. But now I searched for her name, found her Facebook profile. It was mostly private, but I could see some photos. I scrolled back. 3 months, 6 months, a year, and there he was. The man from the motorcycle, in photo after photo, at restaurants, at the beach, at what looked like birthday parties. The comments were in Thai, but I used Google Translate. People called him her boyfriend. People asked when they were getting married. The photos went back 2 years. My hands were shaking. I checked the dates. Some of these photos were from last month, while we were together, while we were married. I found his profile. His name was Niran. His relationship status said, in a relationship with a Pinyas Risai. I sat there on my couch, in my apartment, in a foreign country, and felt my entire world collapse. Everything I'd believed, everything I'd felt, everything I'd built in my mind, it was all a lie. And I'd known, deep down, I'd known, but I'd chosen not to see. Because being used was better than being alone. Because false love was better than no love at all. I looked at the flowers I'd left on the table. They were already starting to wilt, just like everything else. I waited 2 days before confronting her. 2 days of not eating, not sleeping, just staring at those Facebook photos and trying to understand how I'd been so blind. Apple texted me once, "You still mad?" I didn't respond. She texted again, "We need to talk." I agreed to meet her at a coffee shop near my apartment, neutral ground. She arrived 15 minutes late, looking tired. Or maybe that was just another act. "Hi," she said, sitting across from me. "Hi." We sat in silence for a moment. "You've been ignoring me," she said. "I've been thinking." "About what?" I pulled out my phone and showed her the Facebook photos. "About this." Her face didn't change. She just looked at the screen, then at me. "You go through my Facebook? Who is Niran?" She was quiet for a long moment. Then she sighed. "He, my ex. Your ex who you were with 2 years ago. Your ex who people call your boyfriend. Your ex whose relationship status says he's with you. That old. He no change it. There are photos from last month. We still friends. In Thailand, ex can be friends. Does he know about me? Yes. Does he know we're married? Another pause. Not married in government, just ceremony. Does he know? Why it matter? He nothing to me now. I felt my hands shaking. Were you with him the whole time you were with me? She looked down. At first, yes, but then I choose you. I tell him it over. When? 1 month ago. 1 month. I laughed, but it came out broken. So for the first 2 months, you were with both of us? It's complicated. I couldn't just leave him. He helped me with my son. He helped my family. With my money. She looked up sharply. I never lie about needing help. No, you just lied about everything else. We sat in silence. Other people in the coffee shop were starting to look at us. So what now? She asked. Is this over? Part of me wanted to say yes, to walk away, to never see her again. But another part of me, the desperate, lonely part, whispered that maybe this was salvageable. Maybe if she chose me now, really chose me, it could still work. I don't know, I said. She reached across the table and took my hand. Rob, I'm sorry. I should have told you about Niran. But I was scared. Scared you leave me. Scared to be alone. Were you ever in love with me? She looked right into my eyes. Yes, maybe not at first, but now, yes, you're a good man. You treat me good. I want to be with you. How do I trust that? Because I'm here. Because I'm telling truth now. Because I choose you. I wanted to believe her. God, I still wanted to believe her. I need time, I said. Okay, she said. I wait. We left the coffee shop separately. Over the next week, she texted me every day. Long messages about how sorry she was. About how she'd ended things with Niran completely. About how she wanted to make this work. About how much she loved me. And I started to soften. Started to think maybe everyone deserved a second chance. Maybe this was just a cultural misunderstanding. Maybe I was being too harsh. When we met again, she cried. I was so scared I lose you. She said, I make big mistake. But I learn. I promise I never lie to you again. Okay, I said. Okay. She brightened. So we try again? We try again. She kissed me. It felt different than before, but I told myself that was just because things were complicated now, that we needed time to rebuild. 2 days later, she came to me with a new request. I have idea, she said. I want to start small business. Coffee cart. In good location. I can make money. Be independent. Not always need help. Okay, I said carefully. To start, I need about $8,000. For cart, for supplies, for license, for location rent for 6 months. My stomach dropped. That's a lot of money. I know, but it's investment. In our future. I make money, I pay you back, and I'm not burden anymore. You're not a burden. I feel like burden. Let me do this. Let me show you I can be partner. Real partner. I thought about it for 2 days, went back and forth, talked to myself in circles. But in the end, I convinced myself this was different. This was an investment. This was her trying to be independent. I transferred $8,000. She cried when I showed her the confirmation. I won't let you down, she said. I promise. This is new start for us. She kissed me, held me, told me she loved me. That night, she stayed over. We talked about the future, about the coffee cart, about maybe getting a bigger apartment together, about her son coming to visit. It felt like we were rebuilding. Like maybe we'd come through the storm. 2 days passed. I texted her good morning. No response. I texted again at lunch. Nothing. By evening I was worried. I called. The phone rang and rang, then went to voicemail. I called again. Same thing. On the third try, the call went straight to voicemail, like the phone had been turned off. I felt ice in my stomach. I told myself not to panic. Maybe her phone died. Maybe she was busy setting up the business. Maybe there was a simple explanation. But I knew. Deep down, I knew. The next morning, I went to her apartment. Climbed those same stairs. Knocked on her door. Nothing. I knocked harder. Apple, are you there? A door opened behind me. An older Thai woman stepped out. My landlady from my own building, Mrs. Panet, had a sister who lived on the 3rd floor. But this was a different woman. Older. Suspicious. She go, the woman said in broken English. Go? Where? Move out. 2 days ago. With boyfriend. Take everything. My legs felt weak. Where did she go? The woman shrugged. Don't know. Don't care. She owe rent. I stood there, trying to process. Did she say anything? No. Just go. Middle of night. I walked back down the stairs like a ghost. Got in a taxi. Told the driver to take me home. In my apartment, I tried calling again. Straight to voicemail. I sent messages. Where are you? I'm worried. Please call me. Nothing. I checked Facebook. Her profile was gone. Completely deleted. I searched for Niran. His profile was still there, but he'd changed his privacy settings. I couldn't see anything. I tried calling her mother's number. The one she'd given me for emergencies. The number you have dialed is not in service. I sat on my couch and stared at the wall. Everything hit me at once. The ceremony that cost $5,000. The surgery that cost $3,000. The monthly medicine. The school fees. The house repairs. The emergency after emergency after emergency. The coffee cart. $8,000. Gone. All of it, gone. I opened my banking app and added it up. In 3 months, I'd sent her $27,000. Nearly a third of my retirement savings. For a woman who was never mine. For a marriage that was never real. For a future that never existed. I pulled up my email. Found the receipts she'd sent me. The hospital bills. The school fees. I looked at them closely for the first time. The letterhead looked wrong. The formatting was off. I did a reverse image search on one of the receipts. It came up on a Thai forum. Someone warning others about fake hospital bills. The exact same template Apple had sent me. I laughed. It came out bitter and broken. Every single thing had been a lie. The sick mother, the son's school fees, the house repairs, maybe even the son himself. I'd never met him. Never video called with him. Never seen anything but photos. I didn't cry. I was too numb for tears. I just sat there, in my apartment, in a country that suddenly felt very foreign, and realized I'd been erased. She'd taken my money, my trust, my heart, and vanished like I'd never existed. Like I'd been nothing more than an ATM with emotions. And the worst part, I'd seen it coming. I'd had warnings. From Tom. From Jessica. From my own gut. And I'd ignored all of them. Because I'd been so desperate to believe someone loved me. So terrified of being alone. So willing to pay any price for the illusion of connection. I picked up my phone and called Jessica. She answered on the second ring. "Dad?" "She's gone," I said. My voice sounded hollow. "Who's gone?" "Apple. She took everything and disappeared." Silence. Then, softly, "How much?" $27,000. I heard her breath catch. "Dad." "I know. Are you okay?" "No." We sat on the phone in silence for a long moment. "Do you want me to come there?" she asked. "No," I said. "I'm okay. I just needed to hear your voice." "I'm so sorry, Dad. You tried to warn me. That doesn't make me happy about being right." I almost smiled. "I know. What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet. Do you want to come home?" I looked around my apartment. At the curtains Apple had picked out. At the Buddha statue. At the empty space where her things used to be. "Maybe," I said. "Let me think about it." We talked for a while longer. She didn't lecture me. Didn't say I told you so. Just listened. Just let me talk. When we hung up I felt slightly less alone. But only slightly. I called Tom next. "Mate," he said when I told him. "I'm so sorry. You warned me. Doesn't mean I wanted to be right." We met for a beer that evening. He bought the first round. "How you holding up?" he asked. "I feel like an idiot." "You're not an idiot. You're a human being who wanted love. That doesn't make you stupid." I ignored every red flag. "Because you wanted it to be real. We all do that." I took a long drink. $27,000. Tom winced. "Could have been worse. I've seen guys lose everything. That's supposed to make me feel better?" "No, but it's supposed to remind you that you're not alone in this. You're not the first, and you won't be the last." We sat in silence for a while. "You gonna report it?" he asked. "Report what? That I gave money to my girlfriend and she left? That's not illegal. Fraud is. I'd have to prove it. I'd have to stay here and fight, and I don't have the energy." Tom nodded. "So what now?" "I don't know," I said. "Figure out who I am without her, I guess." We had 3 more beers, talked about everything except Apple. When I got home that night, I felt slightly better. Not good, but better. I wasn't scammed because I was stupid. I was scammed because I was lonely. Because I wanted so badly to be loved that I ignored reality. Because I thought if I just gave enough, loved enough, believed enough, I could make it real. But you can't buy love. And you can't love someone into loving you back. Some people are just broken in ways you can't fix. Or maybe they're not broken at all. Maybe they're just surviving the only way they know how. And you're just collateral damage. I spent the next week in a daze. I'd wake up and forget for a moment that she was gone. Then reality would crash back in. I stopped going out. Stopped eating properly. Just sat in my apartment and tried to understand how I'd let this happen. The thing about being scammed isn't just the money. It's the shame. The humiliation. The feeling that everyone who warned you was right, and you were too blind to see it. It's the replaying of every moment, every conversation, every red flag you missed. It's the anger at yourself for being so desperate, so needy, so willing to believe. On day 8, I forced myself to go out. I went to the river, sat on a bench, watched the boats go by. An old Thai man was feeding pigeons nearby. He looked at me and smiled. I tried to smile back. "You okay?" he asked in English. "Not really," I said. He nodded. Came and sat next to me. "Woman problem?" I laughed bitterly. "How'd you know?" "I see many Farang here. All have same face when women take money and go." "Does it get better?" He thought for a moment. "Pain gets smaller. But forget. You just learn to carry it. We sat together for a while. Then he stood up. You go home soon? He asked. Maybe. Wherever you go, you still you. Problem is inside, not outside. He walked away before I could respond. I sat there thinking about what he'd said. That night, Jessica called. I've been thinking, she said. About what? About you coming to Seattle, staying with me for a while. Just until you figure things out. I don't want to be a burden. Dad, you're my father, you're not a burden, and honestly, I'd like to spend more time with you. I felt something loosen in my chest. Okay, I said. Yeah, I'd like that. Good. Let me know when you want to fly out and I'll pick you up at the airport. After we hung up, I started going through my apartment, packing up Apple's things, the curtains she'd chosen, the Buddha statue, the photos we'd taken together. I put them all in a box. Then I took the box downstairs and left it by the dumpster. I kept one photo, not because I wanted to remember her, but because I wanted to remember this feeling, so I'd never let it happen again. The next few days, I started settling my affairs, gave notice on my apartment, booked a flight to Seattle, told Tom I was leaving. You coming back? He asked over our final beer. I don't know, I said. Maybe someday, when Bangkok doesn't feel like her anymore. Fair enough. He raised his glass. To new beginnings. To new beginnings, I echoed. Tom looked at me seriously. You know it wasn't your fault, right? Wasn't it? I ignored every warning. You were human. You wanted love. That's not a crime. It feels like one. That's the shame talking. But shame is just pain wearing a disguise. Let it go. I tried. I really did. But it wasn't that simple. Jessica called again a few days before my flight. How are you feeling? She asked. Honestly, empty. Like I left a part of myself here and I'll never get it back. Maybe that's okay. Maybe some parts of us need to be left behind. When did you get so wise? She laughed. I've always been wise. You just weren't listening. I'm listening now. Good. Because I need you to hear this. You're not a failure. You're not an idiot. You're a man who wanted love and got hurt, that's all. It doesn't define you. I felt tears building. It feels like it does. Then we'll work on changing that feeling, together. I broke down then, really cried for the first time since Apple left. Jessica stayed on the line, quiet, just being there. When I finally stopped, I said, Thank you. Anytime, Dad. That's what family does. On my last night in Bangkok, I went back to the hotel where I'd met Apple. The same hotel where this had all started. A different woman was working the desk. Young, pretty, smiling. Can I help you? She asked. No, I said. I'm just looking around. I stood in the lobby for a few minutes. Remembered that first conversation. The way Apple had tilted her head and asked if I was always alone. The way I'd felt seen for the first time in years. It had felt so real. And maybe, for a moment, it had been. Or maybe I'd just wanted it so badly that I'd created reality out of fantasy. Either way, it was over now. I walked back to my apartment one last time. Mrs. Panet was outside, watering plants. You leaving? She asked. Yes. Tomorrow. She nodded. That girl. She no good. I know from beginning. Why didn't you say anything? She shrugged. Would you listen? I thought about it. Probably not. Thai people say, man who want to believe will always believe. No matter what you tell him. That's a sad saying. Yes. She agreed. But true. I went upstairs. Looked at my empty apartment. At the space where my life had been. At the walls that had witnessed my hope and my heartbreak. Tomorrow, I'd fly to Seattle. Tomorrow, I'd start over. Tomorrow, I'd begin the slow process of forgiving myself. But tonight, I let myself feel it. All of it. The love. The loss. The shame. The regret. The anger. The grief. I sat on the floor of my empty apartment and let it wash over me. And when I was done, when there were no more tears, I stood up, washed my face. Packed the last of my things. I wasn't healed, not even close. But I was still here, still breathing, still capable of starting again. And maybe, for now, that was enough. My flight was at 2 p.m. I had the morning to kill. I walked through Bangkok one last time, past the markets where Apple had taken me, past the temples where we'd prayed together, past the coffee shops where we'd talked for hours. It all looked different now. The charm was gone. The magic had faded. It was just a city. Beautiful, chaotic, indifferent. The same as any other. I found myself walking to the river, the same spot where I'd sat after she left. The old man wasn't there, but I sat on the same bench anyway, watched the boats cut through the brown water, watched tourists taking photos, watched couples holding hands. I wondered if they were real, those couples. If their love was genuine or just another transaction dressed up in emotion. I wondered if I'd ever be able to tell the difference again. A boat passed close to shore. I watched its wake spread out, ripple after ripple, until it reached the concrete wall and dissolved into nothing. That's what Apple was now. A ripple, a disturbance in the water that would eventually smooth itself out and disappear. Or at least that's what I told myself. My phone buzzed. Jessica. Dad, your flight leaves in 4 hours. Are you at the airport? Not yet. I'm saying goodbye. To what? I looked around. To the version of myself who thought he could find love here. You can find love anywhere, Dad. You just found the wrong person. How do I know the difference next time? You listened to that voice you ignored this time. The one that knew something was wrong. I thought about that. About Tom's warnings. About Jessica's concern. About my own gut screaming at me every time I sent money. Every time I saw her phone face down. Every time she had another emergency. Yeah, I said. I guess you're right. I usually am, she said, and I could hear the smile in her voice. Now get to the airport. I'll see you tonight. I took one last look at the river, at the boats, at the couples, at Bangkok. Goodbye, I said to no one in particular. Then I stood up and walked away. At the airport I checked in mechanically, went through security, found my gate, sat down and watched planes take off. My phone buzzed again, unknown number. For a second my heart jumped. I opened the message. Hi Rob, it's Apple. I'm so sorry for everything. I was scared. I made mistakes. Can we talk? My hand was shaking. I stared at the message. Read it 3 times. Thought about responding. Thought about all the things I wanted to say. About the money. About the lies. About the pain. But then I thought about what would happen if I replied. She'd have an excuse. A story. Another crisis. Another need. She'd pull me back in because I was still wounded, still vulnerable, still desperate to believe the lie was real. I deleted the message, blocked the number, and felt something shift inside me. Not healing, not yet, but the beginning of letting go. They called my flight. I stood up, walked to the gate, handed over my boarding pass, found my seat by the window. As the plane took off, I watched Bangkok shrink beneath me. Watched the rivers turn to silver threads. Watched the city become a collection of shapes and colors and lights. Watched it become small, become distant, become the past. I thought about Apple, about who she really was versus who I'd needed her to be. I thought about Niran, whoever he was, and whether he was going through the same thing I'd been through. Or maybe he was in on it. Maybe they were together right now, laughing about the stupid Farang who gave them $27,000. Or maybe she was alone, looking for the next Mark, the next lonely man, the next person desperate enough to believe. I didn't know. And I realized I didn't need to know. Her story wasn't mine anymore. I'd given her enough of my life. I wouldn't give her my future too. The flight attendant came by with drinks. I ordered a whiskey, sipped it slowly, watched clouds pass below us, thought about Seattle, about Jessica, about starting over at 62 years old with less money and more scars than I'd planned. It wasn't the ending I'd imagined when I'd boarded a plane to Thailand 6 months ago. I'd thought I'd find peace, maybe love, maybe a new life in a place where I could start fresh. Instead, I'd found a mirror. One that showed me all my weaknesses, all my desperate needs, all the ways I'd been running from myself instead of towards something real. But maybe that was its own kind of gift. Maybe I needed to see those things. Maybe I needed to break completely before I could build myself back differently. The plane leveled off. The seatbelt sign dinged off. People around me pulled out books, tablets, neck pillows, settled in for the long flight home. I closed my eyes, Saw Apple's face, her smile. The way she'd looked at me that first night and said, "You should not be alone." She was right about that. But being with someone who's using you is worse than being alone. Being lied to is worse than loneliness. False love is worse than no love at all. I'd learned that now. The hard way. The expensive way. But I'd learned it. I thought about what I'd tell other men in my situation. Men who were lonely, who were hurting, who were looking for connection in foreign countries because they couldn't find it at home. I'd tell them to be careful, to listen to warnings, to watch for red flags, to protect themselves. But I also knew they wouldn't listen, just like I hadn't listened. Because when you're drowning, you don't question the hand that reaches for you. You just grab on and hope, even when that hand is pulling you deeper. The sun was setting somewhere over the Pacific. The cabin lights dimmed. People fell asleep around me. But I stayed awake, thinking, processing, trying to make sense of it all. I'd come to Thailand looking for love. I'd found it. Or at least I'd found something that looked enough like love to fool me. And maybe that was the saddest part of all. Not that she'd lied, but that I'd been so hungry for affection that I'd eaten every lie and asked for more. That I'd paid thousands of dollars for the privilege of being deceived. That I'd traded my dignity for the illusion of being wanted. But I'd survived. I was still here, still breathing, still capable of learning, still capable of starting again. Bangkok was behind me now. Apple was behind me. That version of myself, the one who'd believed so desperately, was behind me too. I didn't know who I'd be in Seattle. Didn't know how long it would take to forgive myself. Didn't know if I'd ever trust again. But I knew I wouldn't forget. I'd carry this with me, not as shame but as wisdom. Not as failure, but as experience. Not as the end of my story, but as one chapter in a longer book. A painful chapter, an expensive chapter. But just one chapter. The plane flew on through the darkness, carrying me away from the woman I'd loved who never loved me back, carrying me toward something unknown. And I realized something. I didn't need to forget Apple. I needed to remember her, remember the warning signs, remember the feelings I'd ignored, remember the price of desperation. Because maybe then someday, when I was ready to try again, I'd do it differently. I'd listen to my gut, I'd hear my friends. I'd protect my heart while still keeping it open. I'd learn the difference between being alone and being lonely, between wanting love and needing validation, between partnership and transaction. Maybe. Someday. But not today. Today I was just a man on a plane, flying home, broke but not broken, hurt but not destroyed, fooled but not forever. I came to Thailand looking for love. I found it. It just wasn't real. And maybe that's the saddest part of all. But I'm still here. And that's something. That's enough.